Before the actual tutorial begins, you can quickly get the Tory Lanez preset by going to the first link in the description. It's extremely cheap, and if you like how it sounds in this tutorial, I definitely recommend copying it. So let's get started. So we're in the lab, and I have like an 80s Tory Lanez type beat, but this applies for even his like trap stuff. So first you start off with some auto-tune. I chose the Pitcher because it's a stock plugin, and anybody who cops the preset will have it. Unlike if I use like Autotune Pro, and that some people don't have. This is really easy. All you really have to do is just put speed correction all the way up to 100, because you can definitely notice that he uses autotune. And then obviously change the scale. Then I added some EQ, and I basically did it by going over here and adding a high pass with order 2 and just basically dragging it over here at about like 360 hertz, essentially removing all the sub bass and majority of bass. Then you can drop this down a little bit to 39, and using a high shelf, raise this up a little bit to get the treble. Then for a de-esser, I use Maximus. I went to de-esser split band, and I toggled around with it to get like this sort of sound, basically remove like the really sharp S's. Then I added compressor. You can copy these settings, but just key things to notice: I have -11 decibel threshold, a ratio of 8:1, and a gain of 15.3 decibels. Then I added some fruity reverb, and essentially I have it these settings. So wet level 36, 100 for dry level, and then I added 100% stereo separation. To keep in mind, the mix level I left it at about 82, but it also works at 100. I just thought for this it sounded best at 82. Then I added another parametric EQ, and this one's just a preset called vocal presence. Sound Godizer, I left it at basically 50%, and this is gonna give it that crispy sound. I added a bit of delay, but only 17%, and I have these settings. So ping pong, hard pan, I have a 4:0 ratio. And then for rate, I have it at these settings. You can copy it down. Stuff like feedback and feedback cutoff and stuff like that, you should definitely focus on. And then just to remove like the white noise and the background noise that you might see in some recordings, I added a noise gate, and essentially is that everything under this really small yellow line gets removed once you crank the gain to 0. For the threshold, I basically have it at -30 decibels. And like I said, just crank it to 0, and everything will be gone. Now when it comes to singing like Tory, he has like a really nasally falsetto. It sounds a bit unnatural, especially with the autotune, but
you gotta do a voice like this. Like, this is basically the voice he does when he sings.
This is when he sings in like his higher register. If he sings in a lower one, he's more like this, or like kind of like a Travis Scott sort of thing. Putting it on top of the beat, this is basically how it sounds.
Baby, this is the sound of the tutorial.
I don't know what else to say. And that's basically it. If this preset has sounded good to you, I heavily recommend downloading it. First link in the description. Only 25 bucks. Pretty cheap compared to most preset stores. And again, make sure to subscribe if this has been helpful to you. I'll see you in the next video, and peace.